What's up, Japan fans? It's your pal Kay from Eat Pray Anime. Welcome to Genshin Impact, a free-to-play, open-world action-adventure RPG created by Chinese developer studio MiHoYo. It's set in the fantasy world of Teyvat, where very special people like you and me can harness the powers of the elements and go on exciting adventures in search of our long-lost sibling through a number of lands, each with their own gods and unique culture. In earlier releases of the game, we could visit Mondstadt, the windy European-inspired city of freedom, and Liyue Harbor, the Chinese-inspired stone city of law and contracts. But the most recent Genshin Impact 2.0 update added the long-awaited island nation of Inazuma, based on, you guessed it, Japan. Inazuma is described as the nation of eternity, ruled by the Electro God or Archon Ball, otherwise known as the Raiden Shogun. I have it on good authority that Inazuma is home to Shinto shrines, fox spirits, yokai, and all kinds of cool stuff that I am dying to share with you. I put in a ton of hours to grind from level 1 to get to Inazuma, so here we go, let's play Genshin Impact with an expert.
Inazuma is presently closed. Yes, the nation has been closed by order of its deity.
Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. I can't get into the real Japan right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic to do my research, and now I can't even get a visa to get into imaginary Japan. This is ridiculous.
The Electro Archon Ball. And just as the people of Liyue preferred to call me Rex Lapis, she too goes by another name among locals in Inazuma.
Paimon thinks we've heard that one before. Raiden?
That is the case. And since Raiden is also the shogun of the Inazuma Bakufu, people call her the Raiden Shogun.
Okay, so there's a lot of terms to unpack here in Zhongli, the Geo-Archon's description of Inazuma. Let's start with the name of the island nation itself, Inazuma. The kanji characters in the compound together mean lightning. However, the first character, Ine, means rice and is the same character in the name of the kami or Shinto deity Inari, often associated with rice agriculture, prosperity, and also fox messengers. We'll see a lot of fox imagery when we finally make it past the Inazuman border. So already, the game is suggesting that lightning, rice, and foxes are important to understanding Inazuman culture. Next is the name of Inazuma's god. The developers of Genshin Impact have really odd ways of naming the gods or archons in the world of Teyvat. Each god goes by several names. For example, the guy we're talking to here, Zhongli, is actually the god of Geo and the element of earth, or more accurately, stone. But he also goes by the names Rex Lapis and Morax. The archon of Inazuma is no different. Here we're told that the archon's name is Ball, but she also goes by the title of Raiden Shogun. In Japanese, Raiden is a compound referring to thunder and lightning, a fitting name for the god of electricity. The Shogun part is historical. The Shogun was the de facto military leader of medieval Japan, in contrast to the emperor, who was technically in charge. Japan was ruled by a shogun from 1185 after the Genpei War and the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate to the Meiji Restoration in 1868. That is a long time, almost 700 years. In English, we get the term shogunate from the title of shogun to refer to the military government as a whole, but in Japanese, this government was called the Bakufu. So the Raiden Shogun is both a god of electricity and the military ruler of Inazuma.
That said, though people at the wharf were saying that the situation in Inazuma is very tense, Paimon doesn't remember that always being the case. It wasn't that bad last year. Zhongli, since you're Rex Lapis, shouldn't you know something about what's happening there? Just how did Inazuma become a closed nation?
It's because of visions.
Visions?
When faced with circumstances beyond their control, humans often bemoan their lack of power. But if a person shows true strength of will at a desperate and fateful moment in their life, the gods will look upon them with favor. This is what visions are. Magical foci bestowed upon those who have been acknowledged by the gods.
Uh-huh. That's how people in Teyvat see it.
But starting from last year, the Raiden Shogun began promulgating the Vision Hunt Decree.
Vision Hunt Decree?
Yes. It was an order to seize all visions within Inazuma's borders, and to inlay them upon the hands of a statue of the 1,000-armed, 100-eyed god.
They want to seize visions. But why? Aren't visions blessings from the gods?
I should think that in the Raiden Shogun's eyes, it is precisely because they are divine blessings that they should be under the sole dominion of divinity.
Whoa, that's harsh.
The Animo Archon is the god of freedom, and the Geo Archon is the god of contracts. For her part, the Raiden Shogun is the god of eternity. It seems as though she has finally decided to eliminate any unstable elements that could pose a threat to her eternal realm. The fact that even I, the oldest of the seven, have now passed away, will only strengthen her resolve to pursue eternity. Knowing her, she must have again quoted that adage she is most fond of when proclaiming that decree to her people. 7 ideals for 7 gods, and of these, eternity is nearest unto heaven. All right then. Was there anything else you wish to know? This closed nation. Have patience. I suspect that some serendipity must first come into play.
The Vision Hunt Decree here is a clear reference to the katanagari, or sword hunt. In Japanese history, rulers would declare a sword hunt in order to confiscate people's weapons in a bid to disarm those who might oppose or try to overthrow them. The most famous sword hunts took place during the Sengoku, or Warring States period. The famous unifiers Oda Nobunaga and Toyotomi Hideyoshi declared sword hunts mainly to disarm peasants and the lower classes who were forming their own militia to resist violent conquest. Later in the Meiji period, the government issued a sword hunt in order to disarm samurai who might want to return to military rule under the shogun rather than the emperor. Seeing how Inazuma is primarily based on the Edo period, with all this talk of a closed nation, referencing sword hunts is a bit anachronistic. But I have to say that the idea of a vision hunt to disarm people with elemental powers is really interesting, and I'll have more to say about this later when we really see the vision hunt in action.
Are you okay? Paimon never imagined your brother would have sided with the Abyss. Well, keep your chin up. Paimon believes in both of you. And when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Right? He said we needed to reach the end of our journey. Paimon bets he still has lots more to tell us. And we won't find out what this journey is or where it will end unless we keep going. Then Paimon will be sure to keep up the good work. Although, where should we go next? If we want to continue with the journey... Oh, you mean the god that took your brother away in the first place? You're right. After all, everything that followed, all this confusion, it all Yeah, Paimon bets she's the key to understanding this whole mystery. Well, we've ruled out 2 gods so far, the Animo and Geo Archons. So, next... Paimon doesn't think we can simply walk into Inazuma. Zhongli said it was a closed nation. We'll have to find some other way in. Why don't we ask someone from Inazuma how to gain entrance? Oh, Paimon's thought of someone already! Atsuko in Liyue Harbor! She's from Inazuma! Let's see what she has to say!
Oh. Hello. Oh, I mean good fortune, right? I'm still learning to talk like a local. Is there anything I can help you with?
We wanted to ask, how do we get into Inazuma?
Oh, so that's why you're here. Well, there is a way,
Great! We came to the right person!
but the chance of success is incredibly small.
Incredibly small? Then how did you get out of Inazuma in the first place?
It was in leaving Inazuma that I found out just how dangerous this method truly was. All I had to rely on was a little wooden raft that I'd put together myself. There was a storm raging ahead of me, and my pursuers were close on my tail. After I'd escaped their clutches, I floated on the open ocean for I don't know how many days. My rations and freshwater supply soon ran out, and I remember getting to the point where I was sure I'd reached the end. Then, I blacked out. But, to my surprise, my journey didn't end there. Or to put it another way, a new beginning found me. That's right. I escaped by the skin of my teeth. The fact that I'm even alive to tell the tale must be a sign that the gods were watching over me.
What a horrible journey! And you set off knowing how dangerous it was? Why?
Well, because everything is just too restrictive over there. The atmosphere is so stifling. The Kanjo Commission subjects everyone leaving or entering the nation to a protracted approval process, and I felt like I didn't belong there.
Kanjo Commission? What's that?
Along with the other two commissions, they oversee everything in Inazuma. We usually collectively refer to them as the Tri-Commission. I suppose they're equivalent to the 8 trades under the Liyue Chiseng. One of the obligations of the Kanjo Commission is to conduct rigorous identity checks on all individuals leaving or entering Inazuma. All non-nationals are processed centrally on Rito upon arrival. Meanwhile, the Tenryo Commission is responsible for implementing the recently promulgated Vision Hunt Decree. They act like the executive arm of the Raiden Shogun's rule, loyal, yet unfeeling. It doesn't feel good to speak ill of my home like this, but after spending so long under that oppressive atmosphere, I begin to lose all hope for the future. What I mean to say is, unless you have an extremely compelling reason to go to Inazuma, you should abandon your plans of trying to get there. You should know that the sea around Inazuma is engulfed in a perpetual tempest of wind and rain. Supposing you survived that, you would still need to get past the samurai guards that enforce the Sakoku decree, the closed nation policy of Inazuma. And even if you did manage to find a way, you'd still have to produce the necessary documentation at the Rito Center for processing Outlanders. Otherwise, you'd be kicked out immediately.
Seems like they really don't want anyone setting foot in Inazuma, huh?
They only set that up as a port to guarantee a supply of goods and information to the island. Most Outlanders would be unable to acquire the documentation needed. But if you really are set on going, there is one thing you could try.
The raft idea sounds a little on the dangerous side. Plus, Paimon would definitely get seasick.
That's not what I meant. You could ask someone from the Crux Fleet if they have some way of getting you to Inazuma. They're well known in Liyue. Voyaging far and wide has made them a well-traveled group with a wide range of experiences. They may just know how to break through the storm.
But it's an armed fleet, right? Why would they agree to a request like this?
That part is up to you. If you're able to persuade their captain, Beidou, then the hardest part will be out of the way. The Alcor is the flagship of the Crux Fleet. I heard that it's currently anchored by Guyunstone Forest on a supply run. This might be your best chance.
Then there's no time to lose. Let's go find Captain Beidou.
Alright, so the Edo or Tokugawa period policy of Sakoku is pretty well known, but also widely misunderstood. Sakoku is often translated as locked or restricted country. Recently, historians have had beef with this term for two reasons. First, it was created like 2/3 of the way through the period it applies to, and then projected backwards, which is kind of problematic. No one at the beginning of the Edo period said, okay, we're going to do Sakoku now. Second, the term leads a lot of people to think that Japan at this point was 100% closed, which is 1000% not the case. So some scholars have suggested more historically accurate terms that people actually used, such as kaikin, meaning maritime prohibitions. Basically, Sakoku or kaikin were a set of isolationist government policies that restricted the flow of trade and people into and out of Japan. There were only a few areas where Japanese people could trade with neighboring states like China, Korea, and the Ryukyu Kingdom, as well as with the Ainu people in the north. Also, foreign traders were only allowed to dock their ships in very specific ports in Nagasaki, such as Dejima. I'll explain more about Dejima once we get to Inazuma's version of the port city called Rito. All that being said, the Edo period government was still conducting a lot of trade and goods were still pouring into and out of the islands. Just because the government was being restrictive doesn't mean they just went into lockdown and didn't engage with the outside world. In fact, Edo period Japan continued to consume knowledge about all kinds of stuff, especially science and engineering from the Portuguese and Dutch. And of course, people in Japan continued to innovate as well. But it's true, as Atsuko says, that it was really difficult for most people to get into Japan, and similarly, regular people inside Japan weren't allowed to leave without permission. So, sneaking into Inazuma via a trade port for foreigners aboard a merchant ship like the Alcor is the perfect plan. I just climbed a super tall cliff and jumped off, and I'm gliding on my wind glider very Fortnite style to the Alcor, which is the trading ship run by Captain Beidou. One of my main complaints about Genshin Impact is that there are a lot of quests or parts of quests where the characters aren't actually voiced, so there's just text running at the bottom of the screen, which is kind of boring and also super boring to watch. So I will read the text that's not voiced by voice actors, but I'm not going to do voices. I did it a little bit in Sakuna, but honestly, I'm really terrible at voices. So I'm just gonna read it in an excited manner. You're the traveler? What are you doing here? Looking for the captain? Does she look like someone you can just come looking for whenever you please? Tie the stowaway up and feed him to the fishies. All right, what's the ruckus? This troublemaker snuck in here, said they were looking for, well, they're up to no good, I'll wager, and I thought I would just deal with this for Beidou. Alright, stop scaring people any old how, or Captain Beidou will scold you upside down. Off you go, cool your head. Now then, traveler, what business might you have with the captain? You want to go to Inazuma? By ship? You'd best see the captain herself. She's on board right now, but it seems she's been deep in thought recently. Keep your eyes open and try not to disturb her.
Who have we got here? Wait, I know you. You're that traveler, aren't you? The one who... Ningguang told me about you. A traveler of great insight and remarkable skill has saved Liyue, she said. She's a hard one to please, so praise from her is high praise indeed. I remember thinking at the time that it'd be good to meet you in person. Judging by the clothes on your back and this floating thing, I guess that time has come.
Hey! The name's not Floating Thing! It's Paimon!
Paimon? What a fascinating being. You two give off not only the essence of wind and earth, but also of... yes, the stars.
Huh? The fragrance of what now?
Pay it no heed. I mean only to say I am certain that it is by fate, not chance alone, that we should meet. And that gives our encounter meaning.
You're not far off, but they go by a different name in Inazuma. This young man is Kaidahara Kazuha, a temporary addition to my crew for reasons I won't bore you with. Occasionally he opens his mouth and flowers come out instead of words.
With this fine ship and the soft sea breeze, Would it not be romantically irresponsible of me not to acknowledge it with a line or two of poetry?
No, I can't argue with that. Okay then. Once the clash is underway, I'll give you a chance to perform.
Only if the mood takes me, of course. Poetry for poetry's sake tends to lack meaning.
Hey, you don't want to pass this opportunity up too easily, especially seeing as our great hero here might be in attendance.
Oh, wait a minute. What's the clash? Also, just to clarify, by great hero, do you mean...
Huh? I thought you might be here to sign up. You're telling me you've never even heard of it? The Crux Clash is a martial arts tournament that I hold. There'll be a whole bunch of folks taking part to showcase their talents. There are 2 important rules. 1, competitors must be renowned fighters. We want those with real martial arts ability, not just people taking part for the fun of it. So, you've got nothing to worry about there. I don't think there's anyone out there who hasn't heard of you. 2, you can't take part if you've got a vision. Otherwise, things get a little one-sided. You must be feeling confident, but you might want to watch out. There are a few crouching tigers and hidden dragons lurking around in Liyue. And with Liyue's savior taking part in the tournament, now that's gonna turn a few heads. I think we can expect a healthy turnout this time.
But we didn't come here to take part in a martial arts tournament.
Well, before you dismiss the idea completely, you might be interested to hear that the prize this time round is particularly sought after. Get this. It's a masterless vision.
Supplied by myself, as a matter of fact. If the tournament champion can reawaken that vision, it belongs to them.
Is there really such thing as a masterless vision?
When a vision bearer dies, the light in their vision will fade away. But the shell that housed that light remains. As for whether this shell has any practical application, well, this remains to be seen. But my intuition tells me that while it remains in the world, it may just be possible for someone else to inherit it.
Yep. And the way I see it, a vision is a badge of recognition from the gods. So if anyone's able to rekindle it, it's gotta be an individual of exceptional strength and talent. Organizing the clash is my way of uncovering hidden talents. And hopefully this time, getting a vision to glow again. So if you don't have a vision, this is the perfect opportunity to get your hands on one of your very own.
Yeah, we're interested in getting to Inazuma, not fighting in some tournament.
Inazuma? You want to go there?
Well, why didn't you say so? Inazuma? No sweat. In that case, if you win the tournament, I'll give you a choice. Masterless Vision, or a ticket to Inazuma aboard the Alcor. Up to you.
You just want her to take part in your tournament!
What's wrong with that? The more talent we have, the better the tournament will be. I couldn't let a competitor like you fall through the net.
What are we gonna do? Looks like we pretty much have to do this tournament if we want to get to Inazuma, huh?
Great. Then let's get you signed up. Head to the tournament arena in Guyun Stone Forest. Kazuha and I will be over soon.
It seems like it will only be a matter of time before the answer is revealed. Martial arts tournaments always remind me of the duels they have back in Inazuma. But when the combatants are obliged to exercise restraint, it is unlikely they will ever display their true potential.
Go on, get yourself to Guyun and sign up already. I've already fixed up the arena. You can't miss it.
That's a wrap for Let's Play Genshin Impact with an Expert Part 1. See you next time. Until then, remember to eat, pray, and watch anime.